Hi guys, it's Jen with Unchained Crochet. Welcome back. Have a special episode for you tonight. Hope you enjoy it. Did some very unique things that are yarny, and have a new gadget and a button that I made along with a needle case. So I talked about that in my video last night. So if you didn't catch it, you might check it out. There's a link to the pattern for the needle, the hook case. I always say needle because I used to knit. But the hook case is by Priscilla Hewitt, and there's a great tutorial that Nastasia has on YouTube for that. Very easy to make. I went a little too far and made 7 slots on each side. So I have enough for like 28 needles if I double up on them. So I wanted to share with you the button that I made. I discussed how I've made buttons in the past with polymer clay. This one I also used some oil and water mixable paint that I had left over from my painting days. So it was great fun to make. I didn't want it to look store-bought. I wanted it to look handmade, but you know, not be like that noticeable. I wanted to look artisan. That's the new fancy term we put on homemade stuff. Artisan. So it's an artisan button. And also have a piece de resistance to show you that I described last night's video too. So this is what we're going to start the show with tonight. So welcome to Unchained Crochet. If you haven't joined the Facebook group yet, please come and join us. It's an open group. Like I said last night, I'll say it again. I will banish any trolls, any appropriate behaviors, things that are not appropriate to the group. Fiber artists and lovers are all welcome, no matter what your craft is. My daughter weaves, she's in the group. Some of the people don't crochet at all, but maybe hopefully they will pick it up. So hope to get that going a little bit more and build up a better audience, bigger audience here, and do some live shows and some giveaways eventually. I don't do editing yet. I'm not focused on editing. I'm focused more on content. So that's my focus right now. It's just content and keeping with it and being consistent so that I get in a routine of posting. And people know that they can count on me finishing tutorials, which I have 2 started right now that I'll be adding to probably later tonight. So without further ado, let's review the hook case. I'm just going to call it a needle case. You know what I'm talking about. So this is a Priscilla Hewitt pattern, and it is posted free on her website. I added the single crochet foundation from the tail that was left over at the end. Just slipped my yarn through after I sewed on my batik fabric cover. It has encased inside, it has a cut up 5-star plastic folder that I used to use to hold all my patterns, which were mostly knitting. And now that I crochet so much, mostly without patterns at all, if I can avoid it, I will. I really just don't need those patterns, and I may make me some homemade paper out of them. So the folder got upcycled into making this a little bit more rigid. So there's 2 layers of batting. I just took a fat quarter, folded it in half. I ended up with about 2 inches all around of scrap of the batik fabric that I can use if I want to sew again or quilt again. I don't know why. Every time I start recording, I start sniffling, get the sniffles, and then tip of my nose starts itching. So that's, it can hold your needles right like that. I started it at 4 a.m. in the morning when I couldn't sleep after having knee surgery several days ago, and finished it the next day and decided I was going to go ahead with the batik because I just had this on hand and loved this print so much. And I think it's just enough contrast, but does pick up on the teals in there. It's a little more teal in there than you can see. And I had stitched the fabric with the batting together and made the 2 pockets so that I could just leave one end open and hand sew that down later when I sewed it to the crocheted piece. So I left that sandwich open and I slid the folder up between the two pieces of batting and the two pieces of fabric. So then I hand stitched it on with some teal yarn, but later on I went over the white thread that I used when I machine stitched, because it had like white on the spine and white all the way around the edges, and you could terribly see where I backspaced. But now that's teal because I took a permanent marker to it. Just kind of a teal colored one, which I later used on the button. So now you can see the button is sewn kind of loose because I really didn't plan ahead enough and think I'm going to have trouble sewing it through very far because of that plastic folder. Could have planned a little bit better. I could have even did a hole punch through the plastic folder, a couple hole punches, and marked them with yarn, pulled through the fabric to sew it through the folder as well. But anywho, it's good that it has that little bit of looseness to it. I was able to hand stitch the button on. The button is made with polymer clay. It was white, with enough kneading and rolling and kneading and rolling. And then I made a little ball, and then I smashed it down. I just did it here on the desk on top of an old calendar. And then I went to painting it with some kind of blue, the water-based water mixable oil paints. It's called Artisan. So then after that, I baked it again to air dry at 200 degrees. Baked it initially to make the button at 265 degrees. Don't go over that. I think that it will probably make your items too brittle. And then the polymer clay, as it cools, it does set up, so it's pretty hard once it's cool. It looks like a porcelain button. So after the blue water mixable oil paint, as I did that, I also rubbed so that it would kind of come through and pull some of the white through a bit. Rubbed it with paper towel, dabbed it a bit for the texture of the paper towel, added some more paint, rubbed it again, got it good into the creases. I then dried it in the oven at 200 because even my blow dryer wasn't making it dry fast enough for me. I want it done. So once that was completely dry, and I also did the back side of the button just in case it shows at all. Once that was completely dry, I set my recliner, brought my magic markers or Sharpie markers over. I just used a yellow and like a turquoise greenish color like this yarn. And also brought in some vodka that I just threw into a used water bottle, put a little vodka in there and some more paper towel, and started adding marker to it. Added the yellow first, put some vodka on the water paper towel and just dabbed and blotted, wiped, added some more marker, just kept going at it. You really can't mess it up. Try to see if I can get it where it's not so shiny for you there. You know, you can see a little bit of brush stroke, marker stroke to it. And it added some depth to it, I think, having the blue in the areas that I marked. I made the little curlicue veins to it using a shawl pick I have that has some curve to it. Did that before I baked it, obviously. And then I just added the turquoise marker here and there and around the edges so that, you know, it's not stark white anywhere. And after that was all completed, that was completed after I did completed my other project I'm getting ready to show you, because it's the piece de resistance I'm talking about. But after that was all completed and very well dried, I sealed it just using some clear nail polish top coat. Sally Hansen is great. So that is the button and the needle case that I made this week. So that being said, my oldest that crochets loves it, says she wants one. And I try to encourage her to make her things, you know, and not to give her everything that I make. But she may end up getting this after all, especially after I made what I made late last night. Just watching TV. I even did it in the dark. But after I formed it and baked it, I experimented with a boy hook because I didn't want to use my favorite hooks. I have several of these, like 3 or 4 of these H hooks that are baits. You can see that hook is focused a little bit better. That hook is so much better. It really, it picks up your yarn. It's not too round of a head to it. Looks like a little, some kind of helmet, you know, with a pointy top to it. But that hook, it's just got such a good slice into it there. As opposed to this boy hook. Very rounded and blunted, and there's hardly any kind of lip that comes off of that thing. So, I still got marker on my hand. That hook, it drops more stitches, it splits more. This holds a stitch so much better. So, I didn't want to use this in case it was a fail. And this was my first hook handle I'm doing. I also had tried marking these with permanent marker, some black Sharpie marker, letting it dry, and then brandishing it with my finger to bring out the raised lettering. And it does help with reading the hook. You can't see it, it's not focusing, but I can put my readers on and quickly see that I have an H hook now because of that permanent marker kind of stuck around the outlines of the letters that are embossed on it. So H is my favorite size, H, I, J, K. Those are my favorite sizes to use. So now I plan to make polymer clay ergonomic handles for all my favorite hooks and do them in different nail polish colors because this is what I made with the boy. So, you know, last night I was in love with it. I baked this one in the oven by itself. 265. After I formed it, I just rolled the snake out, smushed the needle where it was halfway buried into the roll of the polymer clay. Smushed it, pressed it down pretty good, and then started mushing the polymer clay where it was almost meeting, but not smashing it. Just mush it until it gets, you know, to where you can start rolling it. And then roll it on the desk or your countertop. Granite countertop would be great for this. But just roll it in your hand, moving your fingers up and down so it gets pretty even. And you just keep rolling. And then I took, and as it gets rounded, I keep checking to make sure that the butt end of the hook is not coming through. So I just kind of pushed it. You can hold the top and mash down the bottom so that it's flattened out. Just kind of makes it look a little more professional. And then I kind of just went right here at the top and tapered it toward the top. And then I took a good blunt edge butcher knife. It's a ceramic knife. And just kind of scored it where the edge looked a little rough, and then I took the blunt edge again and just flicked off the extra. Just flick it away. You don't want to do this. You want to just kind of do that kind of movement and flick it away, and then just toss your extra and clean up that edge. It really is quite remarkable. It looks like a nebula to me. And this is all the paint is nail polish. Same that I have on the base of my fingernails right now. It's right here on that half. So I started with this color first. I don't have it out right now. I have some other ones I'm going to use on my next one. I started with this base color first. It was not glittery at all. It just kind of pearlescent. So the fuchsia, but I went from the bottom all the way down. And as you're holding it like this and turning it little by little, you're re-dipping, holding your polish right here in your palm. And just keep painting, dip and paint, and it gets done so fast. I mean, in no time flat, you're down to here. And by the time you're down here and you're holding and being careful, And you can fill those in later on. It's pretty forgiving. I use Sally Hansen Miracle Gel. It's the lightless gel. And I know on my nails, and I wash my hands a lot for work, but especially if I put glitter on the tips of my nails, it will last me and not chip. It'll last 2 to 3 weeks at least. I usually change my colors more frequently than that. So, very good nail polish, and I think it's going to stand up to the wear for this. So both the base colors are Sally Hansen Miracle Gel. And this one, the darker area there, is what I have on my fingers right now, including the glitter. The glitter is not Sally Hansen, just the base coats here and here. So I painted, after doing it all the fuchsia color, I painted it the dark plum color and the end of it, and kind of let the brush get drier as I got toward the middle of the hook. And then I came in, by the time you're down here, up here is dry, so you're ready to go for another coat of whichever one you're going to do. So then after the 2 colors were put on, several coats of the fuchsia, a couple coats of the plum, then I went in with this glitter. And I don't know if you can see it. There you go. It's like lights. I videotaped it in the dark with just a flash from the camera, and it's like gleaming, so reflective. But overall, from a distance, it looks like a white gold with just little flecks of fuchsia, green, blue. So after the glitter, and you can ombre your glitter, do it heavier here. Start heavy there, and then just kind of lighter there. It doesn't have to be perfect. There's spots in it where it didn't hit as heavy, and that just makes it look more like a nebula to me. And then just keep on going down here, letting your brush get drier and drier. So, or you knock off extra and a little more paint as you redip every time as you come down toward the head of the hook. So that is that. Once the glitter was on, I then clear coated it with Sally Hansen, finger paint, fast dry top coat, finger paint brand, and Sally Beauty Supply sells that. And I used lots of that. I didn't have too much in there, probably used that much because I put like 3 or 4 coats of the clear coat on there. But I'm telling you, painting it, and I watched TV while I did it in the dark, you're not going to lose. It doesn't cost very much. Used probably maybe $1 worth of supplies, including the clay. And I mean, really, it's just so much fun. But it really is kind of like a strobe light disco ball. So this top coat, just put you plenty on there, get you shine. It'll help protect it. And then I looked at it and I realized this is my H hook. It's a boy. I was like, I went from hating boy hooks to now I'm like, I'm in love with this boy. And I took it into bed with me last night, so when I wake up, it would be on the nightstand and I could look at it again and admire it. And I looked at it like Laura Ingalls looked at Almanzo and said, hi, Manly. But I'm like, hi, Manny, because it got a little Manny. So once it's all covered and done, you no longer have the little part where it says the size and the millimeters. So if you can't tell that this is your favorite size hook, then just put it on the bottom. There's my H. And I did that with some nail art. It's a really skinny brush. It's a silver. Just slap it on there. And put your letter on there so you know what size hook you have. That you have made a fantastical, magical, Andromeda looking nebula hook. Do I have enough descriptors in there? So that's that. Loving it. Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay, so hope you guys have fun with that. Also, last night in the video, I'm hoping we can get a cow going amongst the community on YouTube. Shout out to Krista, Crystal, Jen with Cinnamon Stitches, Crystal with Bag a Day, Krista, and Creative Grandma. There's so many, I can't even remember all the names. Fiber Spider, I love you guys. And smaller channels, Courtney with Fiber Fox Studios. I love your little tails from the truck. It looks so, I just love you guys. I mean, I love it because almost everyone I've seen on YouTube, we're just all real people, and very helpful community. We help each other out, and we're the Yaya sisterhood of crochet, and I just love it. And I'm very happy to be contributing now to YouTube. You guys have taught me and so much, you know. So I'm hoping we can get an 80s cow going, have us a nice crochet along. This little square here, I talked about this last night. I've done some painting on fabric before. I tried the tulip paint. It's rough and nasty and catchy, but I'm wanting to do a sweater and have it 80s look to it. And so next paint I'm going to try is watering down this medium multi-surface. It doesn't say fabric, but I don't care. I've used regular acrylic with, you know, just watered it down and painted roses on it. Met Donna Dewberry, so the one-stroke lady. So I'm going to test this square out tonight and wash that up and see how that does with the yarn. I just want to dry brush it, kind of. I don't want it to absorb through and bleed everywhere. I just want to dry brush it and give it a little goldy glitter to it. So the next hook that I'm going to do is going to be my favorite Bates. I love the Susan Bates hooks. I think I've used these the longest, and really, I mean, I've had this boy laying around. I have a few boys, and I mean, you can get by with it. You know, it's very comfortable to use, and you know what? It didn't add much weight to the hook. It's really comfortable to use. I used it today. Did not have any problems with it other than the normal problem of it slipping with the stitch once in a while. So the Bates hook is going to get done. This is just one of a few that I have, and I'm probably going to be buying some more. But this is just so much fun to make. All in all, it probably took me, with the bake time of 30 minutes, the cooling time about 30 minutes, and I just did other stuff while I was baking and cooling. And then the polishing time. And I didn't sand it. If you don't like the little bit of a curvy lumpiness here or there, I mean, it's really not bad. Keep rolling it. I mean, I'm happy with it. It feels handmade and very, very smooth, like a bowling ball. But if you don't like that, you could always sand it after you get it out of the oven. Just sand it with some fine grit sandpaper and then paint it. So hold on a second. Usually I'm drinking coffee. Tonight I'm having a little bit of a brewski. Not a big brewski drinker, but have company tonight and they brought some. Like I said, tonight is a special show. So enjoy the show.